We live in an age where choice feels limitless, yet satisfaction has never felt so rare. Everywhere we turn, we're told we have more options than ever, more shows to stream, more things to buy, more people to date, more ways to live our lives. But behind this flood of opportunity lies a strange irony. The more choices we have, the less free and fulfilled we actually feel. Picture this. You're scrolling through hundreds of shows, trying to pick one, and before you know it, an hour has passed and you've watched nothing. Or maybe you're in a grocery store aisle, paralyzed by the sheer number of cereal boxes. This isn't just indecision, it's a fundamental paradox of modern life, and it's impacting your well-being more than you realize. This is what psychologists call the paradox of choice. The idea that while choice can empower us, too much of it can overwhelm us, leaving us stuck in indecision, regret, and constant comparison. Stick around till the end and you'll learn actionable strategies to reduce choice overwhelm in your daily life. Think about it. How often have you sat down to watch something on Netflix only to spend 30 minutes scrolling through endless rows of thumbnails, dramas, comedies, documentaries until you're exhausted and you end up watching nothing at all? That's the Netflix effect in action. We confuse having many options with having meaningful ones. Every new choice triggers a kind of mental calculus. Should I pick this? What if there's something better? And in the age of streaming, there's always something better. The result? Decision paralysis. We end up watching a few minutes of one show, backing out, trying another, and finally shutting the screen off altogether. Abundance was supposed to free us, but instead, it's made us restless, always searching for the perfect choice that never seems to arrive. Walk into a modern supermarket and you see the same pattern. Entire house devoted to minor variations of the same product. 20 brands of peanut butter, 50 types of cereal, dozens of bottled waters, each claiming to be more natural, healthy, or organic than the next. But does all this variety make us happier shoppers? Not really. Studies show that when consumers are presented with too many options, they actually buy less and feel less satisfied with whatever they choose. Because every purchase becomes a trade-off, and trade-offs breed regret. We leave the store not excited about what we picked, but anxious about what we left behind. So in a culture of plenty, we carry the same emptiness home. Our cabinets are full, but our minds aren't at ease. We have abundance without satisfaction. Then there is modern dating, the ultimate laboratory for the paradox of choice. A generation ago, you met people in person, at school, at work, through friends. Now, we have access to thousands of potential matches at our fingertips. Yet, loneliness is higher than ever. Why? Because with infinite options, no single person ever feels enough. We swipe not to find love, but to hunt for perfection. And perfection doesn't exist. Every match becomes a maybe. Someone to compare, replace, or upgrade later. The irony is brutal. In searching for the best, we lose the ability to appreciate the good. Dating apps promised connection, but what they delivered was an endless audition. And most of us are exhausted from playing both judge and contestant. In every part of life, that is, what we watch, what we buy, who we love, we've mistaken endless options for endless freedom. But more isn't always better, because real freedom isn't the ability to choose everything. It's the ability to choose what matters and live with peace in that choice. The illusion of endless options tells us we can have it all. Reality reminds us we can't. And somewhere between those two truths lies the quiet anxiety that defines modern life. If the first illusion of modern life is that we have endless options, the second is that we can handle the weight of choosing among them. Every decision, from what career to pursue to what coffee to order, now feels like a referendum on who we are. We aren't just making a choice, we're making a statement, and the mental load that comes with that constant self-curation is enormous. Instead of feeling liberated by freedom, we often feel trapped by responsibility, the fear that one wrong move could collapse the life we're trying to build. We've all experienced that frozen moment, staring at a restaurant menu, a job board, or a blank application, overwhelmed by options that all look sort of right. The rational brain says, take your time, it's good to have choices. But the emotional brain says, if I pick the wrong one, I'll regret it forever. And so, we stall. Psychologists call it analysis paralysis, a state where too much information creates mental friction. The more we compare, the harder it becomes to commit. That's why people delay choosing a major college, postpone career moves, or scroll endlessly through Airbnb listings without booking a thing. We tell ourselves we're being careful, when really we are just stuck. Modern society rewards research and optimization, but it punishes contentment. We feel guilty for settling, even when settling is the only way to move forward. Behind paralysis lurks another enemy, the terror of regret. We've been conditioned to think that a good life is one without mistakes, as if happiness depends on making the right choice every time. But life doesn't work that way. Regret aversion leads us to avoid decisions altogether, because doing nothing feels safer than doing something imperfect. We stay in jobs we hate because leaving might be worse. We hold on to relationships that drain us because ending them might hurt more. We cling to the familiar because regret feels unbearable. Yet, the irony is this: refusing to decide is a decision, one that slowly shapes our lives by default. Every choice we avoid becomes a vote for inertia. Even when we finally make a decision, peace doesn't come easily. Instead of enjoying what we chose, we obsess over what we didn't. That opportunity cost anxiety, the constant background noise of what if. It's why travelers spend their vacations scrolling other destinations on Instagram, while new homeowners keep browsing real estate listings, while someone in a perfectly good relationship keeps wondering who else is out there. We live in an economy of infinite alternatives, where every yes automatically implies 1,000 no's, and because those other lives are visible, curated on screens, polished on social media, the road not taken never fully disappears. It haunts us. In older generations, choices felt final. Today, they feel reversible, and that illusion of endless switching only feeds the anxiety that we are always missing out. We once thought freedom meant having unlimited options. Now, we are discovering that too much freedom can feel like carrying 1,000 open doors on our backs. None of them closed, none of them walked through. The modern individual isn't chained by scarcity, but by abundance. And the burden of decision, the invisible psychological tax, is what turns possibility into pressure. Freedom, it turns out, isn't the absence of limits. It's the wisdom to know which limits set you free. The human brain never was designed to process infinite options. For most of history, our choices were limited: where to live, what to eat, whom to trust. But now, with a world of decisions in our pockets, we've stretched our mental circuits to their limit. And the result? A quiet epidemic of anxiety, dissatisfaction, and comparison. Choice overload doesn't just affect what we buy or watch. It reshapes how we feel about our lives, our achievements, and even ourselves. Every decision we make today feels like a test. A public performance graded by invisible spectators. Did I pick the right career, the right phone, the right way to spend my Saturday afternoon? We are constantly evaluating, updating, and comparing. Even small decisions like whether to reply to a text or post a photo come with emotional weight. Each one feels like a move in a never-ending game we can't stop playing. Psychologists describe this as decision fatigue, the gradual depletion of our mental energy as we navigate a sea of micro-choices. By the end of the day, we are exhausted not from labor, but from self-management. It's no wonder so many of us crave simplicity, minimalist lifestyles, digital detoxes, capsule wardrobes. Deep down, we're not just tired of stuff, we're tired of deciding about stuff. The irony is painful. The freedom to choose was supposed to make us feel in control. Instead, it's made many of us feel trapped in a permanent state of mental bookkeeping. And here is the cruel twist of the modern age. Even when we make the right choice, we rarely feel it. We second guess, we replay, we compare. Because in a world where every alternative is visible, every success feels slightly incomplete. Researchers have found that people presented with more choices are often less satisfied with their final decision, even when they objectively pick something good. Why? Because with more options, more imagined scenarios. And in those scenarios, we're always happier, richer, thinner, more admired. That fantasy haunts the reality we live in. So, even after getting the job, buying the car, or meeting the partner, there is that quiet whisper: what if there was something better? It's not failure that breaks us anymore, it's the idea of almost. We live in a culture obsessed with optimization, the best version, the perfect match, the ultimate deal. But that obsession breeds endless restlessness that no achievement can silence. If the paradox of choice had a mascot, it would be FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's the emotional tax we pay for seeing the highlight reels of everyone else's lives in real time. FOMO thrives in comparison. It convinces us that every moment we spend doing one thing is a moment we're losing somewhere else. A better event, a better opportunity, a better life. It's no longer enough to enjoy our experience. We must validate it by knowing it's the best possible one. You can see it everywhere. People scrolling social media at concerts instead of watching the stage. Travelers documenting sunsets they barely look at. workers checking LinkedIn, comparing salaries, and questioning their career paths. FOMO has turned living into a spectator sport. And the cruelest part, the more connected we are, the more disconnected we feel. Because comparison is infinite, but contentment is not. Choice overload doesn't just exhaust our minds, it drains our happiness. We live in a world that mistakes variety for value, and in chasing everything, we forget how to appreciate anything. Anxiety replaces curiosity, regret replaces gratitude, and FOMO replaces peace. The paradox of choice isn't that we can't have what we want, it's that we no longer know how to want it once we do. At this point, it's clear that the problem isn't choice itself, it's how we relate to choice. Freedom is a gift, but too much of it, unstructured and unchecked, can turn into chaos. So the real challenge of modern life isn't about finding more options, it's about learning how to filter them, to separate what matters from what merely distracts. Navigating the overload means rebuilding a sense of intentionality in how we decide, consume, and commit. It means turning freedom back into focus. One of the most powerful antidotes to decision fatigue is learning to be okay with good enough. This doesn't mean settling for mediocrity, it means understanding that perfection is an illusion and chasing it only leads to burnout. Psychologist Barry Schwartz, who popularized the paradox of choice, identified two types of decision makers: maximizers, who strive to make the best possible choice, and satisficers, who choose something that meets their needs and move on. Satisficers tend to be happier because they can actually live with their choices. In a world that constantly whispers, "You can do better," setting boundaries is radical self-care. Limiting options, how many shows you scroll through, how many apps you keep, how many times you compare, is not giving up freedom, it's reclaiming it. So maybe you pick one streaming service, one hobby, one person to fully invest in. You stop optimizing every corner of life like a spreadsheet, and you rediscover the quiet satisfaction of choosing once and living with it. Ironically, as the world offers us more, we're beginning to crave less. That's why curated experiences, playlists, subscription boxes, capsule wardrobes, even minimalist home design are so popular. Curation is a form of relief. It's someone saying, "I've done the filtering for you. Here is what matters." When options shrink, appreciation grows. This is the paradox of choice at work in real time. After decades of chasing infinite variety, society is rediscovering the beauty of limits. We trust editors, designers, and creators not because they restrict us, but because they protect us from drowning in excess. Think about how refreshing it is when a restaurant only has 5 items on the menu. You can finally stop comparing and start tasting. That's not less choice, that's better choice. In an age of overload, curation has become the new luxury. Ultimately, the goal isn't to escape choice, but to choose with clarity. A choice filtering mindset asks one simple but powerful question before every decision. Does this add real value to my life, or just noise? This filter turns impulse into intention. It forces you to align decisions with purpose, not pressure. It's the mental discipline to stop chasing what looks impressive and start pursuing what feels meaningful. Focus on depth instead of volume. A few great friendships instead of hundreds of followers. A few good meals instead of endless fast options. Treat attention like currency, spending it only on things that yield peace, progress, or joy. Filtering choices isn't limiting your potential. It's editing your life so your best self can actually emerge. Because when everything matters, nothing truly does. We can't stop the world from giving us more screens, more options, more voices shouting for our attention. But we can choose how we engage with it. Freedom without focus is chaos. Focus without freedom is tyranny. Balance them and you get clarity. The quiet confidence that you're living your life on purpose, not by default. When you set boundaries, embrace good enough, and learn to filter what truly matters, you don't shrink your world, you make it livable. After all the noise, notifications, and the never-ending lists of things to decide, many of us are realizing that the ultimate luxury isn't more, it's less, but better. Reclaiming simplicity isn't about escaping modern life, it's about mastering it. It's a conscious return to the essentials, to experiences that nourish rather than numb, to relationships that fill rather than drain, and to a rhythm of living that feels like our own again. Because when we strip away the clutter of excessive choice, we begin to remember what actually makes us feel alive. In a culture built on consumption, simplicity begins with awareness. Every purchase, every scroll, every subscription is not a vote, not just for what we own, but for the kind of life we're building. Mindful consumption asks a different question than, "Do I want this?" It asks, "Why do I want this?" Do I need this item, or am I trying to fill a void? Do I crave this experience, or am I escaping boredom? It's not about minimalism for its own sake. It's about intention. Research consistently shows that experiences, a concert, a trip, a meaningful meal, brings us more lasting happiness than possessions ever do. Objects fade into the background. Memories grow richer with time. When we start trading stuff for stories, we find that fulfillment doesn't come from having everything, but from being fully present in what we already have. In the social media era, connection has become both easier and emptier. We collect followers but lose friends. We send messages but forget to listen. We're surrounded by names but starved for understanding. Simplicity in relationships means quality over quantity. It's having a handful of people who see you, not hundreds who scroll past you. It's choosing to go deep instead of wide, to invest your energy where it truly matters. Deep connections require attention, patience, and vulnerability. 3 things that constant choice has trained us to avoid. But when we slow down and let people in, we trade stimulation for substance. The paradox of choice tells us we can have infinite options. But love, friendship, and belonging remind us that we don't need them. The joy of fewer, deeper connections is the quiet satisfaction of knowing that you don't have to perform to be seen. Now, here are those actionable strategies I promised to reduce choice overwhelm in your daily life. Theory is only as good as what we do with it. So, how do we actually live simpler in a complex world? Here are a few practical ways to reclaim mental space and emotional clarity. 1. Limit your decision zones. Identify where you face the most daily overload: food, clothing, work tasks, and simplify those areas first. For example, rotate 3 to 4 go-to meals, set wardrobe staples, automate bills. You'll be shocked at how much mental energy you get back. 2. Create no decision zones. Block parts of your day where you don't make any new decisions. No social media, no multitasking, no shopping. These mental rest periods strengthen your ability to choose wisely later. Number 3. Practice the rule of enough. Before buying or committing, ask, do I already have enough? Most of the time, the answer is yes, and that pause saves you from clutter and regret. 4. Curate your input. Follow fewer accounts, read fewer headlines, and mute notifications. It's not ignorance, it's selective attention, the ability to protect your focus from digital noise. And 5. End your day with gratitude, not comparison. The surest antidote to FOMO is thankfulness. Each night, note 3 things you appreciated, not 3 you wished for. Gratitude converts scarcity into sufficiency. These habits are small rebellions against the culture of more. They restore the sacred pause between impulse and intention, the space where commitment is built. In the end, simplicity isn't a rejection of freedom. It's the rediscovery of what freedom was meant to feel like. When you reduce the noise, you begin to hear your own voice again. When you choose less, you finally have room for what matters more. Modern life may drown us in options, but meaning still lives in the margins, in the quiet, uncluttered spaces we choose to protect. The paradox of choice will always be part of our world, but the power to navigate it, to decide with peace instead of panic, has always been ours. And maybe the simplest, most radical act of all is to finally whisper to ourselves, I have enough, and enough is plenty. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, it's time to take back control, one step at a time. My book, The Ultimate Guide to Overcoming Addiction, Steps, Tools, and Resources, is your complete roadmap to recovery. Inside, you'll find practical strategies, proven tools, and the emotional support you need to break free from destructive habits for good. This isn't just another self-help manual. It's a companion for your comeback, written to empower, educate, and guide you through the science, psychology, and real-world processes of healing. Whether you're just starting your recovery journey or looking to strengthen your progress, this guide will show you how to rebuild your life with clarity, resilience, and self-respect. Start your journey today. Get your copy of The Ultimate Guide to Overcoming Addiction, Steps, Tools, and Resources. Available now in ebook, paperback, and audiobook formats.